Anna Hazare or Moto Man or best buses. Perhaps if I had any forewarning that all these things are going to play against us, we would have thought of having a seminar another day. Uh, Apologies for starting behind the schedule. Believe me, I've been addressing seminars on immigration since 1994, and I'm known that I'll start on time. But today is Anna Hazare Day, Motor Man Day, and Best Day, so perhaps you can excuse me for starting a bit late, but we'll not wait anymore. And just to give you a brief introduction, practically speaking, category in which you are keen on making an application in skill category. Practically speaking, immigration in this particular category started, for that matter, even the business or investor category, started in India in very early 90s. And the very first cases which would get to be known as skilled immigration were in the 93, 94. That's when it practically started happening. And just to give you an idea, what immigration meant at that time, because when we introduced immigration as a concept, the situation was very, very different. The situation was that people often used to confuse immigration with the fact that it's about an overseas job. So, we released one advertisement in 94, 95, immigration to Canada or immigration to Australia or to any other destination. And believe you me, we used to have a ballroom with a capacity of around 1,000 sitting, and we used to have 3 seminars in a day of 1,000 each. That is immigration for you when it started, and that is when Abhinav and I got into the immigration industry. Over a period of time, things have changed, and perhaps the most important change is the understanding that people have of what immigration means. Immigration, practically speaking, means a permanent relocation, a permanent resident visa, a decision that will mean that you want to permanently wish to relocate to another country. People came to realize that it does not mean a temporary solution, H1, L1, work permit, which means that you are in a particular country perhaps for 2 years, 3 years, 1 year, for the duration of the visa, work permit over, you come back to your country. And when you are there on the work permit, no rights for you which a resident otherwise or a citizen of that particular country will have. In fact, it's very interesting. If I have to share something out of my experience of last 17 years in this industry, the most significant learning that I have personally of last 17 years is that amongst our largest database of clients is people who have traveled abroad, number one, and number two, who have actually speaking been on a work permit or a project outside of India. Because when they go on a temporary status, or when they travel overseas for a project or for work, and then they have to come back after doing that project or completing that duration for work permit, they realize when they come back that what they are missing out on. And it's at that stage that they start looking at immigration as a permanent solution to specific needs that they are looking at. So something that I wish to really speaking request all of you, and let that be the starting point of our discussion today. Really appreciate and have clarity on your mind, in your mind about this particular aspect. that please do not confuse immigration with work permit. Please do not confuse immigration, permanent relocation with the fact that when you land in any destination, all of you are well settled here. When you land in any destination, doesn't matter which destination you go to, it is not going to happen, that you will not be required to go through what we call a settlement phase. That settlement phase implies perhaps 1, 2, 3, 4 months, 5 months of looking perhaps for a house, of looking for a job, of looking for schools, institutions where you, if you are married and you have kids, of where to get your kids admitted, of doing the smallest of the things. That you shift from Delhi to Mumbai, Mumbai to Delhi, Bangalore to Mumbai. Look at it this way. Only difference is here when you shift, only missing element, when you go abroad is that here you are shifting, let's say, on a job. But otherwise, even if you shift within cities, within India, it takes you 3 to 6 months time to settle down in that particular city, to make new friends, to make new acquaintances. To that you add one significant and perhaps the most important aspect, job. 3 to 6 months. So, the starting point of today's discussion, today's interaction is this, a realization that each one of you should have. And it's a very important realization because, being in the immigration industry, I've realized one thing. And over a period of last so many years, we also interact with clients who have migrated and settled abroad. Both categories are there. Not so successful, very successful, averagely successful. But one common element I can identify with each person who's been successful is that he went with a clear realization of what immigration as a concept, what immigration as permanent relocation means to him, and because he was prepared, he could plan his settlement phase, the initial settlement phase, in an alien country accordingly. Let me try and elaborate on what it means. Perhaps this is a very strange presentation, a seminar that I never have any PowerPoints. I normally love to interact, I love to share my experience. So in a way, you'll find it a bit awkward at times because I'll mostly be sharing my experiences. Experiences that I've learned or heard from clients. So what is the common element we find? Because they were prepared. Now let's look at one very simple thing. As soon as a person lands, the first thing, because rupees converted to dollars become small, and you want to earn as soon as possible. So what do? You grab the first job possible. Because, believe me, earning in dollars is very attractive. It's very attractive. Because, forget about you going as a newly landed immigrant. I'm talking of people who are there for last 10 years. Even today they convert dollars they earn into rupees. So when you land in a place like Toronto, where the minimum wage itself is around $13 an hour, 1.3. It's around 1.3. So even if you are working as a cashier, simple cashier, you make at least, nobody can pay you less than that. You time it by, 8 hours a day, 5 days, 24, 25 days in a month, and you come to realize, hey buddy, I'm making $1,600, $1,700. That's a lot of money. But that is precisely what you should not be doing. That is precisely what I mean when I say, be clear, be realistic about what step you are taking. You are well qualified, well settled here also. You are not going there to be a cashier. You are not going there to be a waiter. That's not the purpose for which you're migrating. You're going there for a quality of life, but quality of life has certain definition. When you have this clarity in mind, it will become easier for you to plan out your settlement phase. Now, what does that settlement phase mean? That settlement phase means that when you'll go, depend on the destination, the settlement phase, as we move forward, I'll elaborate how with each country, the duration of the settlement phase can be less or more. For example, in a country like Australia, it can be as less as 1 month or maximum of 2 months. In a country like Canada, it can be 6 months, 9 months. In a country like Hong Kong, it can be as fast as 15 days. Today in the evening, I'll talk to you about Hong Kong also, which is perhaps the most surprising destination, and people don't even look at it. It's 5 hours distance, closer home, Mumbai weather, excellent job opportunities, banking, finance, logistics, jobs available in abundance, and you're closer to home, but nobody looks at it. But out there, the settlement phase can really be less. So, settlement phase definition. For example, in Canada, what does it mean? It means that you should ideally be prepared. A Canadian employer always asks for 2 things when you initially land there. You'll go for any interview, is going to ask you for 2 things. Do you have a Canadian qualification? Do you have Canadian experience? Gentlemen, I just landed. How do you expect me to have Canadian experience? How do you expect me to have Canadian qualification? I've been given immigration by your government. Oh, sorry, but we prefer those with Canadian experience and qualifications. Now, let's come back to it. Going by this logic, nobody should be migrating to Canada. So why do people migrate to Canada? For every 10 queries that we receive every day in a place like Mumbai, 9 say we want to go to Canada. Why? Beyond all the social security benefits and everything that goes with it, of course the biggest advantage is USA is next door. That's the biggest attraction why people want to migrate to Canada. But if your decision is to migrate to Canada, give the settlement phase a definition in your mind of a clear 1 year. I'll define what you're going to do in that 1 year. If you don't plan for 1 year, believe me, your decision to migrate to Canada will be a very disappointing decision. I'm being blunt about it. Why? It will be disappointing on many counts, not one, many counts. First, you'll get frustrated, I don't have Canadian experience, so I'm not getting job that's right for as per my qualification, as per my experience in India. So that's your first point of frustration. Second point of frustration will be that, listen, what am I doing? I am getting job at $13, $15 an hour, I'm not taking it. So I'm really a fool, I should be doing it. Why should I be doing it? So that's another frustration. Because if you go by Mr. Sharma's advice, he will always say, please, if you are a skilled professional, have patience for 6 months. What you should be doing is this. Before you apply for the process, carry on your research, but research of a different kind. What, really speaking, are the skills? Which are the Canadian qualifications which you can earn online while being in India itself, while you are waiting for your immigration process to get over? Majority of Canadian universities and institutions, and you don't have to do a 3-year, 2-year degree, no. You already are a qualified professional. I'm saying pick out a related qualification. Something that you can do online. Then identify, because in majority of reputed qualifications, they'll always have 2 levels or perhaps 3 levels of examinations. Perhaps you can do 1 or 2 level online. But second level perhaps you can do only once you become a resident. But look at it, if you plan like this, what you have done, you have saved 6 to 9 months or six months to a year of what you would have done after landing. You've already done it by the time you land. So after you land there, all that you do is you do the last stage of whatever requirement they have to to become, to can undertake only as a resident. So you give that level paper after you land. Going by your profile, going by your experience, going by your educational qualifications, and going by your age. Identify which are the right courses. Our office can comfortably give you the sites which you can research, and identify and carry on with your, the skills earning while you are getting your process done, and at least the identification. First 6 months to a year of landing, be prepared. Be prepared that you will be doing some evening or weekend classes of a Canadian qualification that will complement and that will help you in getting a Canadian job. Of your current level at which you are currently employed. Let me correct this statement I just made. You will be underemployed as per whatever current designation you have, whatever current level you have. That's another part of settlement phase. You will be underemployed for at least 1 to 2 years. The reason is very clear. And this is part of the immigration process. This is part of the settlement phase, whichever country you go to. The reason is very clear. And believe me, I have interacted enough of these employers, overseas employers, and you will be surprised, I agree with some of their reservations. Many of you who would have interacted with such, with employers or otherwise, would realize that they have a different accent, spoken accent. So clearly, when you go there, and they straightway put you at a certain level, and you cannot even understand half the things that your subordinates, your middle level managers are trying to say, that creates a problem for them. That creates a situation for them. So it takes you 6 months to a year just to acquire the accent of a particular country. That's one reason why you straightway don't get jobs at the level at which you are currently working here. Second, when you go there, you don't have local qualification and don't have local experience. So that's a huge disadvantage you have as against those who will come to give an interview for the same position for which you're going for an interview. There are other residents and citizens who are also appearing in the interview for the same job for which you're going. They are not facing that problem. They already are living there, so they have that accent. So my very strong suggestion, and this is suggestion number 2, important suggestion. My suggestion number 1 was that be prepared for what we call settlement phase as part of your decision to migrate. My suggestion number 2, and believe me, if you follow these 2 suggestions, you will be a very successful migrant, doesn't matter which country you go to. And you will be a happy soul, happy family throughout your life. Otherwise, immigration will become the biggest mistake of your life. My suggestion number 2 is that be prepared to be underemployed for a phase that may last anywhere from 1 to 2 years. You are not going to be at the same levels at which you are employed here. Rest assured. Take it in writing. So if you feel that no, and it can happen, and it's okay. We spend our life here. There is no need to migrate. There is no need to migrate. If you feel that, I don't want to face these 2 situations. I don't want to be underemployed. I don't want to earn additional qualification. I'm okay being where I am. It is okay to take a decision not to migrate, than to take a decision to migrate and regret it after landing there after 2 years. Whichever decision you take in life, the most important thing is that it should be a right decision. And especially when it comes to life, to the extent possible, most of the things we cannot plan in life, but some things that we can plan in life, and immigration is one of them, let it be a planned decision. Let it be a considered decision. Let it not be a decision taken in a hurry. That no, my friend called me up, his shoe is doing very well, and so I should also be going there. I went on an international project. I saw what quality of life means. Do not confuse your experience while doing a 2 month or 3 month project overseas with the fact that you have learned about that country or the lifestyle there. No, nothing. When you are in a project, they just consider you as a guest. But when you land as a resident, they expect you to speak in their language, their lingo, their qualification, their experience. Then their approach is different from what they give to you when you are going on a project, short-term project, or on a work permit. So let these two be, the first two important points of this interaction that we are having. Let's now move on to which are the major destinations, right? And let me start this particular, what I call, chapter of our discussions